Have you noticed that the majority of talks start with a cliched ritual? Hello, how are you? And the response is nearly always the same. Okay. However, very few people are okay, and even fewer are interested in knowing. It's a mask dance. What if you showed up to a conversation with presence rather than this automated noise? A few words that lift the mask and invite the other person to be genuine, rather than devious tactics or deceptive statements. Imagine the strange enchantment that occurs when you are understood. Someone observes you, listens patiently rather than quickly, and then whispers, "I understand you." Something relaxes all of a sudden. You're no longer knocking outside the gates in the hopes of being admitted. You're welcome inside. Because no one has taken the time to speak those words, the majority of us feel alone even though we are surrounded by people. Understanding the truth is more uncommon than love itself. It is the silent acceptance that your inner world is real and that you're not crazy for experiencing the emotions you do. And what if you give this to someone else? Because you have touched something that goes beyond appeal, and look, you become remembered. You've arrived at the center. As soon as you say, "I understand," the other one seems less disorganized. Their inner turmoil calms down, and they find solace in that silence. Additionally, relief has a magnetic quality. Those that cause anxiety are not clung to by people. When someone calms their restlessness, they cling to them. You see, being attractive isn't about showing off your intelligence to other people. It's about being the kind of person that makes people feel like they can finally relax. But humility is necessary for comprehension. If you're too busy planning your next witty response, you won't be able to comprehend. If you're determined to be the brightest person in the room, you won't understand. To comprehend is to temporarily put aside one's ego. To say, "Here is a fellow traveler walking a road I may not fully know, but I can see the shape of it." And people stop resisting when they see that in you. They no longer have to struggle to be in your presence, so they lean in closer. You've given them space. Now picture yourself saying that makes sense to someone you are talking to. What you are really saying is, "I have listened." It's a simple, almost insignificant word, yet it has a lot of power. I have absorbed your thoughts and feelings, and they have become a part of me. It has touched down. This gift is rarely given to most people. When they speak, their words vanish into thin air. However, they make sense when someone hears that. Their hearts relax. They no longer feel as though they are roaming alone. They consequently develop an unwitting attachment to the person who reflects them. Empty agreement is not the point here. Telling someone that makes sense does not imply that you share their viewpoint. It indicates that you understand the direction they took and the motivation behind their statements. Acknowledgement is sufficient. This is what the Stoics referred to as tolerance, allowing someone else to hold their opinion without having to disprove it. Additionally, tolerance makes people feel secure. They feel you are not a threat, so they become more open, and they become more trusting the more they open up. They want to stay close the more they trust each other. This is connection's subdued rhythm. However, you'll observe that the statement loses its significance if you just throw it casually. It dies on your lips if you say that makes sense without really listening. Its weight comes from its presence. You have to be present to hear the words, as well as the stillness in between. When you believe what someone else has stated, you say, "That makes sense to me because I can see how you reached it." Now you're no longer two isolated individuals. You're sharing a reality. Shared reality is proximity. And proximity, when unforced, is what draws hearts together. There's another phrase that sparkles with power. You are right. Such a simple act, yet it satisfies a need we all hold, even the proudest of us. To be told we are right is to feel seen. Of course, this cannot be abused, for then it becomes flattery, and flattery is counterfeit. But when it is uttered with honesty, it disarms. Imagine an argument, tempers rising, each individual ready to win. One speaker then abruptly states, "You're right about that." The stress is immediately released. Since people genuinely want approval rather than triumph in arguments, there is no need to defend. Furthermore, freely providing such confirmation is a strength rather than a weakness. No matter where it appears, truth is loved by great minds. Therefore, acknowledging that someone else has stated the truth, even in the slightest way, demonstrates your maturity. It demonstrates that pride is not your slave. Ironically, people who give up gain a lot more respect than those who have to win all the time. Because the wise know when to bow, but the insecure must defend every square inch of ground. The other person feels secure when you bow, and they start to trust, soften, and stay when they feel protected. Think about how these moments feel different from regular communication. Words are frequently employed as tools for dominance and as weapons. But you put down the sword when you honestly say you're right. You demonstrate that you care about the truth itself rather than your ego. And because it is so uncommon, people find it irresistible. They run into you not as a competitor, but as an ally and friend. And who is more beautiful than someone who respects your worth without undermining their own? Someone who lets you rest, who allows you be. Another word, possibly the most basic of them, but the one that is most often overlooked. Pay attention. It's odd that a seemingly insignificant gesture may feel more valuable than gold, isn't it? In the world we live in, almost everyone speaks, but relatively few people listen. Waiting for your turn to respond is only one aspect of listening. Nodding while surreptitiously crafting your next sentence is not acceptable. Listening is stepping into someone else's world without feeling the need to change it. Saying, "I'm listening," with genuine sincerity is a gift that very few people ever get. And that gift is so captivating because people feel authentic when they are heard. They feel vital, as if they are important. You have allowed them to develop without interference or condemnation. You are not attempting to dominate them, correct them, or outshine them at that precise moment. You're just spending time with them. And you see, this is the purest expression of love. Love that acknowledges, but not necessarily romantic love. Because we only have one mouth and two ears, we may listen more than we talk. But see how we now live in a world of incessant conversation and noise. Being the one who pays attention, pauses, and listens is as conspicuous as water in a desert. People come back to you because you provided them the unique opportunity to be heard, not because you were brilliant. And isn't that what we all want when you think about it? Just to be permitted to exist without opposition. The fact that they are techniques is not the key to understanding, sensing, writing, and listening. They lose their power the instant you treat them like tricks. Sincerity is what makes them magical. You're not performing when you embody them. You're giving in. Others grow as a result of that letting. Consider a flower. Its petals cannot be pulled to speed up its opening. You provide it with soil, water, sunshine, and patience. Then, one morning, it unlocks effortlessly. Similar to this, individuals open up on their own when you listen, acknowledge, validate, and show understanding. When you stop attempting to attract, you attract more. People feel more suffocated the more you chase. They feel the strain more the more you perform. However, people are pulled to you like moths to a flame when you stop chasing, when you stop performing, and when you just let them rest in your presence. You became a place where they felt alive, not because you made an effort to be magnetic. You do not create attraction. It is the result of forgetting who you are and meeting someone else. You are at a crossroads every time you start conversation. There's a ritual along one path. "Hello, how are you?" Additionally, the response is always the same, and the conversation ends there. The alternative route offers the opportunity to start with awareness rather than habit. You also set the tone at the beginning. The entire meeting changes if you open the door with one of these words and enter with sincerity. What started out as a straightforward hello could end up into something memorable, even transformative. But let's not be overly serious. This whole thing is play. Chains are not words. They are games. Additionally, they are most receptive to understanding, sensing, validating, and listening when you treat them with humor and interest. These are not labor-intensive tasks. They're dance invitations. Here we are, two ripples on the same ocean. Meeting for a moment before we flow apart again is what they are expressing. Why not contribute something tangible and lively during that meeting? After all, The goal of communication is to touch rather than to impress. Therefore, attraction is based on how the other person feels around you rather than what you say. Are they comfortable? Are they feeling appreciated? Are they aware of their presence? These are the actual measurements. And take note that this does not require cunning. You don't have to be clever, attractive, or strong to meet someone as they are without the continual need to control. All you have to do is be present and alert. Ironically, people become closer to you when you stop trying to win them over because they feel free with you. And that freedom spreads easily. Others are reminded to breathe by the listener. Others are reminded that they belong by the person who understands. That drab little custom. Hello, how are you? It's similar to banging on an unanswered door. However, because we are scared to deviate from the script, most conversations still start this way. But the old chant doesn't have to be repeated. Instead, you may try something new, a statement that breaches the mask and encourages candor, or anything that awakens the other person. And here's a phrase like that. Tell me something nice. It's so straightforward, yet so unexpected, that it takes the mind off automatic. It is not routine. It requires thought. Consider starting this way. Rather than the boring back and forth, you ask, tell me something good. The other pauses instantly. They need to pause, think, and aim for something tangible. Maybe they grin, remembering a little happiness. Maybe they have something in common. Whatever it is, though, the discussion has already transcended the norm. It isn't a script anymore. It's living, and you stand out in that aliveness. You are no longer just another courteous stranger who gets lost in the shuffle of daily life. The other has been woken by you. Additionally, you have awakened yourself by waking others. As you can see, being alert during meetings with people is more important than rambling on incoherently. Most individuals are confined by customs and cliches and stroll around half sleeping. However, you add color to the debate if you dare to be awake and say something new. And it's this that makes you unique. When two people are willing to move from the automatic to the actual, they can experience attraction, connection, and love. And occasionally, a single word serves as the entryway. A straightforward statement with only presence behind it, delivered with sincerity. Therefore, keep in mind that these words are invitations rather than weapons or instruments. You don't need attraction methods when you live this way. Your genuineness has made you appealing. Additionally, people feel comfortable being genuine with you when you're genuine. Your presence becomes a gift whether you're with a friend, a lover, or a complete stranger. And the recipients will want to stay because they will recall what it was like to be with you. Light, simple, and genuine. Attraction is the most important factor. A performance is not an attraction. It's an acknowledgement. And the purest kind of love, my friends, is recognition.